Here's where things get interesting. The one other thing I wanted to show you today, which might not be completely intuitive, although it's very easy once you know how to do it, and that's how to add modulations. If you click on the add, turn this off for a second. If you click on the add mod button, it's not going to do anything because it doesn't know what you want to do. What you have to do is select the dial that you want to modulate. And in this case, to just do plain old subtractive synthesis, we're going to select our filter and we're going to select the cutoff frequency. And when you select a dial, if you move it, it's going to move the parameter up and down. But if you just click on the face of the dial knob, it's going to change to white, which means that dial is selected, and then you'll notice that the add mod button is highlighted. So let's hit that add mod button right now. And it's going to add a modulation slat to our matrix. But there's no modulator assigned. So let's select a modulator, new modulator, LFO, hit OK. Now we've got an LFO going here. Let's see what that sounds like. We'll change it to add. The default is multiply. We'll change that to add. It will change the phase to start at -1/4, and we'll turn the period up to 8. And we'll turn up the resonance just a little bit. And then we'll take a quick look at the Ableton spectrum, and this sounds and looks exactly as you would expect if you're modulating the cutoff frequency of a filter with an LFO. So let's bring Fathom back up again. And what we're going to do here is, without adding a new modulation, we're going to change this modulation to point to a different modulator. So we'll click on the modulator icon. The mod slat expands, and now I can click on the modulator. And again, we'll do a new modulator, but this time let's choose a multi-segment envelope and hit OK. Now, I'm going to make a separate video on modulation, and so this isn't a video on modulation per se, so I don't want to go into this in detail. I'm just going to very quickly here create an envelope so you can see what it sounds like. We'll turn quantize amplitude to 3. We'll take the first segment and we'll make it a little bit sharper. Now I'm only hearing this at the beginning of the note because I have it set to trigger by note. I'm going to change that to song. Turn down the volume a little, or that's going to get annoying. I'm going to add 2 more segments, change the amplitude of each one. Now here's something interesting you should know about. Normally when I select these points and I move them, I'm changing the overall size of the segments. But if I select the last point in the last segment and then I increase segments, what it's going to do is it's clever enough to repeat that pattern without it's not going to repeat the very last segment, it's going to repeat the entire pattern, which is very handy. And I could keep doing that indefinitely, all the way up to the maximum number of segments, which is 64. But for today, let's just leave it at 8. So, what do I have here? Now I'm modulating the filter with a multi-segment envelope instead of the LFO, and I can turn this modulation amount down, and you'll notice that when I change the modulation amount, the actual audible range of the modulation is displayed on the dial itself. So if I change the modulation amount way up, it's going to reflect that on the dial, as well as, of course, you can hear it.